Hello everyone, and welcome back to Stories with me, Jesse. And today we're once again looking at the accounts of people who have had the pleasure of providing troubleshooting assistance with some ignorant people over at Reddit/talesfromtechsupport. Let me know what you think of these stories in the comments, as well as any suggestions you might have that we may just use in a future installment. Press 1 to participate in a brief survey at the end of this episode, cause we're getting started now. Our first story is titled, "There Are Bodies, Man!" This happened around 2011 to 2012 when I worked tech support for a major telecom company. Hello, thank you for calling. This is, man, you gotta help me get this phone working. Man, it's life or death. At this point, I should note that he was calling in from the line on an account that I'm assuming, but not entirely sure, was his. Okay, let's get you fixed up. Can you verify the name on your account? Man, we don't have time. This is an emergency. At this point, I decide to just start with basic hardware troubleshooting since I don't have to verify anything for that. I understand this may be urgent. What's the issue? You gotta help, man. There are bodies. Bodies, man. I paused for several seconds, replaying that in my head and confirming that yes, he did in fact say there are bodies. Sir, what's the issue with the phone? Oh, I gotta go. Click. Never did find out what was wrong with the phone. Bodies? Not sure if this was a prank call or not, but that's gotta be up there on the list of unexpected phone calls. And the guy hung up before you were even able to help him with anything. How rude. Moving on, our next story is called, "This is Tech Support, Not the IT Department." I work at a support hotline of a medium-sized company. Usually my tasks revolve around checking on customers who went offline and responding to technicians who ran out of ideas on how to fix an issue. This time, however, I received a message from HR. Let me recap the chat that ensued.
Hi, I'm Karen. I'm new around here and just got my notebook for work, but it is still missing some software I need. Could you help me?
Hi, Karen. I'm sorry, but I can't. You might want to talk to Anthony about this. He's the head of the IT department.
Anthony's on vacation. He left a note that all IT problems should be taken care of by you.
Does the note say Jimmy by chance? Because there's a Jimmy Neutron working in IT. I'm Jimi Hendrix. I work in tech support.
Yes, and I need tech support right now.
That may be, but to install the software you require, you need someone with administration rights. I'm just working a student job right here. I certainly won't be able to help you in this case.
That's stupid. Why do you even work in IT if you don't have administration rights?
I work in tech support. It's an entirely different department from IT. At this point, she stopped sending messages, and I thought I had gotten rid of her. However, she must have been busy in that time to find out my direct dial number, because I got a call from her minutes later. Luckily, I was smart enough to activate the record function before taking the call. This is Jimi Hendrix. How may I help?
This is Karen. I still need that software for my laptop.
Hi, Karen. Have you tried contacting Jimmy Neutron yet?
No, I have not. I want you to help me now.
Sorry, I can't. As I've said, I don't have admin rights, so I can't install your software. Only the guys in IT may help you in that regard.
But you are in tech support. Isn't that the same?
No, it's not. Tech support takes care of customer issues. Everything internal is handled by IT.
But I want this software installed now!
It would be best if you contacted Jimmy Neutron then. His direct dial is 123.
Fine, but this is not over! You wasted my time!
She hung up, and contrary to her final statement, I actually thought it to be over and went back to work. About an hour later, I was called by the head of HR, luckily a sensible person. Hey, Jimmy, Karen just complained about you wasting her time. Do you know what's up with that? I don't want to contact Steve, head of tech support, about this. Well, she contacted me about software she needed installed, and I explained to her to contact Jimmy Neutron regarding this issue, but she wouldn't listen.
Well, she said you led her to believe you could help her.
At this point, I sent her a message with a screenshot from my chat with Karen and the recording of her phone call. I've just sent you evidence that I did nothing of the sort. HR taking some time to go through it.
Well, that looks indeed like a different story entirely. I'll talk to Karen about this. Don't worry.
I haven't heard from Karen since then, but I'll be sure to give an update if anything happens. Don't you just love it when people don't understand what your job actually entails? And this lady was from Human Resources, no less. Isn't it part of their responsibilities to have a basic understanding of who does what? That was definitely a smart idea, keeping proof of your conversation with her. I'm relieved to hear that the head of HR was able to get this Karen to leave you alone. Our next story is titled, Can't Even Understand Control-C/V. Background: a few years ago, I used to work for one of the big 4 accounting companies as an on-site tech support along with another guy and our supervisor. Company decided to open a new office, and I was transferred there as someone with experience to train the new guys hired for that location. After a few months, we've been sharing stories with the other office of how dumb the numbers, the way we called users, were in the new office. The first day that my coworker from the main office visited, I had the following interaction with the manager of one of the departments. I had already shared a lot of stories about this manager with him, as she was the dumbest person I've ever or will ever meet.
I want to know how to move text from window to window.
Me not surprised. Okay, I don't really know what you mean, but can you show me what you're trying to do?
Yes, I've seen my team do it, but I don't quite understand how, because they don't use the mouse.
Proceeds to show me that she basically wanted to copy and paste text. Oh, okay. Understanding that shortcuts are not well known by everyone and that she might be a Mac OS user, you need to drag the mouse over the text like so, then press Control, and while pressing, also press C. The cuts me off.
Nothing happened.
My coworker, looking at me covering his face with the monitor so only I can see him, contains laughter. Yeah, this is just the first step. Now you cuts me off.
This is so hard. Isn't there an easier way?
No, there is no shorter way than 2 commands, as you need to select where to paste the text you just copied. Manager not convinced.
Okay.
After you've done step 1, you need to go where you want to paste the text. Click on the text editor of that application, and then while pressing Control, press V. Manager surprised, like the first human being to discover fire.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. Do it again.
Me, explaining the process again and asking her to do it a couple of times.
Great, thanks.
Leaves our office. My coworker was in disbelief on how someone can be this detached with technology and manage more than 10 people for a department that oversees the action of potentially any department in the company. But well, we laugh it off and continue with our day. Not 5 minutes later, we get a knock on the door, and she again. It took all of my control to not laugh to death upon the first thing that came out of her mouth.
What came after Control?
My coworker, again covering himself against the monitor, starts looking at me like somehow this person is stealing IQ points from everyone around her. Come here, sit with me. We will go over the process again until it's clear.
How come there's not an easier way? You IT guys always make it so hard for the normal people.
I explain the process around 5 times and write a post-it note with the 2 shortcuts and in which order to use them. After she finally leaves the office, I let go and start laughing uncontrollably hard, and my coworker had the biggest face of disgust that is humanly possible to do. For me, it was just another funny story of someone that just didn't get technology, but my coworker took it personal. And later on, when I left the company and he replaced me in that office as the one with more experience, he took it upon himself to get rid of this manager. But that's a different story. TLDR, manager didn't know that copy and paste existed since 1973 and blames us for it. Well, I certainly get that not everyone understands computer shortcuts, but this manager really didn't seem to have the ability to retain instructions for very long. There's not some kind of special and secret method that you haven't been told about. I probably would have been laughing at the situation too, but my question is, how did she become a manager with such little knowledge of computers? Our final story is titled, Angry Karen Challenges Me. You're lying! My son would never do that! I got recommended here by a friend who thinks the world needs to hear my stories from when I worked as a laptop technician. I'm new to Reddit, so please be patient with me. Lol. This story took place about a year into the job. I started working in the repair shop as counter staff, but got bumped to assistant manager and then technician, so I often found myself alternating roles wherever I was needed on the day. One summer day, I'm about to clock out and go on my lunch break when a customer comes in with a laptop. She seemed pretty pissed off, so I held back to help her out as my work colleagues were all with other customers. This customer quickly turned into a Karen within minutes. "Hi, how can I help you?"
I bought this stupid laptop a few days ago from here, and it already stopped working. It's my son's laptop, so I need it looked at immediately.
The repair shop was pretty big, so we also did a lot of business selling secondhand phones/tablets/laptops, as well as a bunch of different accessories. Immediately, I recognized the laptop she's brought in, as I was the one who had prepared it to be sold earlier that week. A very distinct bright blue HP. Can't remember what model, but doubt it matters. Immediately, my gut instinct tells me this is a suspicious situation. So what kind of problems are you having with the machine?
My son only used it for a few days, and then it started slowing down, and now doesn't work at all.
That's no problem. I'll help you out here at the counter and try to resolve the issue for you quickly. I open the machine up at the counter, and the OS is completely destroyed. Corrupted shortcuts on the desktop, the machine is crashing whenever I try to open File Explorer, Command Prompt, etc. My standard guess in this situation would be a hard drive failure, but I had installed a brand new HDD in the machine, so this situation screamed like Karen isn't telling me the whole story. I was on the job long enough to trust my instincts with customers, and seeing as I was the last person to touch the machine before her, I knew it was almost definitely one of two options. Either A, both the lab as well as me missed something, which was very unlikely, or B, the customer damaged the machine and is trying to play it off like it's our fault. I wasn't about to make any assumptions, but this customer had an attitude, a kind that's very distinct from the usual frustrated behavior, an attitude you'd only get from customers who were ready to start a fight. I explained to Karen what I can see on her desktop, and that this kind of problem can only be resolved once the technician has taken a proper look. I explain our book-in procedure, that we will take in the machine and test it, and then call her within 24 hours with an update on what we found. Unsurprisingly, she's huffing over having to leave the machine in the shop. When booking in a repair like this, we take a full report from the customer of what had occurred, in case we need to build a case for any reason, so I get to asking her some standard questions. "So when did you start noticing these problems with the machine?"
Only this morning when I turned it on. It was fine last night.
You mentioned your son uses the machine. Did he mention noticing anything wrong at any time over the past few days? The mentioning of her son set Karen off, and she starts snapping in front of all the other customers. I know I've hit a nerve here, and her son is involved in this story somehow.
My son is none of your concern. You are dealing with me here.
Now, the aim of the game here with a wild Karen is to calm her quickly, as any provocation could set her off into a wild rampage. Using my amazing charm, I explained to Karen that I understand her frustration, but for me to properly assess the damages and help her, I need to know how the machine has been used. She calms and starts complying.
My son rarely used the machine. I only gave it to him for a few hours to play his games.
Can I ask what games those were?
Only Minecraft and Roblox. He's too young to know how to do anything himself.
Now I know this woman is either clueless or lying to my face, as I can clearly see the Steam launcher on the desktop, as well as a bunch of other scattered games and game folders, so I decide to test her story. Ma'am, I'm going to ask you a few questions about what I can see here. Do you know what Steam is?
No.
And have you ever heard of any of the following programs? War Thunder, TF2, etc., etc.?
No.
Okay, ma'am, if you will give me 1 minute, I would just like to take your hard drive into the back and run a quick scan to see what other data I can see. She gives permission, so I take the laptop in the back and plug the HDD into our system and find exactly what I was expecting. The local disk has been completely destroyed, assumedly by her son. Half-installed game folders everywhere. Files pulled out of x86 and dumped onto the desktop, in the recycle bin. This kid has even pulled folders out of what I assume is Windows and done the same, thrown pieces of the OS at random around the local disk. Now, I don't suspect she did any damage herself, but it's evident someone deliberately f***ed the laptop, likely her son. She clearly knows this and is trying to play the issue off like this damage was there from when we sold her the machine. I show the damage to the other technician who works with me, and he agrees with my assumption. Now comes the tricky part, confronting the beast. The two of us go out to Karen and explain what we have found. Okay, so I opened up your files in the back, and we have found the issue causing your problems. We pull up screenshots we made in the back and show them to Karen on our tablets in front of the store. We proceed to explain what she is looking at, and that this damage was caused by someone moving files and possibly deleting portions of the operating system. Pointing out evidence that conflicted with Karen's story sent her into a fiery rage against me and the technician. Is there any chance your son may have done this damage? Could you have left him alone with the machine at any point?
How dare you call me a liar? My son would never have done this, and neither have I. You're clearly trying to push your own errors onto me. I want a refund.
Ma'am, I am not calling anyone a liar. I can only make assessments based on the evidence I have here. What I know is that the damage caused to your laptop was done by a person, and I know this damage was not present when the laptop was put up for sale earlier this week. We take screenshots and full reports of all devices before they are put out for sale. Regardless of who caused this damage, this voids your warranty on the machine, and you are not eligible for a refund.
Give me the owner's number right now. I am going to get you punished for your rudeness.
Ma'am, I legally cannot give you the owner's private number. If you want, you can leave your own number and I can have him call you the next time he is in the store. For now, all I can do is book in your machine and have the technician assess it for you.
Then give me your manager. You are not getting out of talking to me like this.
Ma'am, I am the manager on site right now. Again, I'm sorry for this inconvenience, but all I can do is book in your machine for an assessment and repair. Seeing that neither of us are budging to her raged screaming, Karen falters to the pressure. She shifts into a passive-aggressive mood and has me book in her laptop for a repair. All while I maintain my standard happy composure to the customer. I hand her the repair docket and wish her a nice day. She storms out of the building. I wasted 30 minutes of my lunch break helping a Karen, but the salt was too much not to pass up on. TLDR, Karen claims I sold her a faulty machine. I show her evidence that her son damaged the machine. She calls me a liar and loses her shit. Well, how do you like that? In my experience, I've had quite a few customers who somehow corrupted computers into an unusable state, and it was sadly par for the course to have them deflect any responsibility and instead blame me for whatever issues they were having. You can't please everyone, especially when they enter your business thirsty for blood. But what did you guys think of this story, or any of today's in general? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Anyways, that's all the time we have for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you once again for tuning in with me, Jesse. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content, and check out what other stories I have for you. I hope that each and every one of you has a beautiful day, and that today gives you something to smile about. I'll catch you in the next one.